Yeah, I'm aware about that.
Oh, boy, I was reminiscing and listening to that album the other day. Some great things on that album.
Well, thank you.
I didn't hear that, Gene. I didn't know there was such an album.
Well, I heard about it, but it hasn't passed my way yet. Saul, how are you?
Good. How are you, Gene?
Good, great.
Gene, I want to ask you how you got involved with That's Entertainment, too. And particularly, I'd like you to talk about the new sequences that you were involved in. That sequence in Paris was just delightful.
Well, I wish I could say I dreamed it all up myself. But frankly, Saul, Chaplin, and Dan Melnick asked me if I'd be interested to work with Fred Astaire and sort of tie the thing up and to stage some new sequences. And they were searching for a different attack than the first That's Entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
And after about a minute of hesitation, I said I'd be delighted.
No, by the way, he's leaving a few things out. I mean, it was his contribution was much larger than that.
Of course.
Like I told you originally, we just knew we wanted Gene Kelly. We weren't quite sure. We had a vague idea what we wanted him to do, but what he did was his own invention. And we went to Paris, and by the way, found out that he could run for president of Paris if he wanted. It's true.
That's amazing.
So that was mainly his.
You know,
Champion wine drinker of Paris, I could run.
No, well, more than that.
Gene, you know, when one looks at your credits, one of my favorite films was Invitation to the Dance, which people don't talk about too often.
Well,
I wonder why.
That was made not as a commercial picture.
Mm-hmm.
It was made on a very low budget
Right.
in England at the MGM studios.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, MGM didn't have the kind of setup to put it out, and they held it for about 3.5 years.
Wow.
And the art house motion picture business was not in vogue then.
Mm-hmm.
And by that time, television had come in, and people began to see dancers that weren't movie dancers, that weren't well-known motion picture names. But the whole idea of that picture was to introduce dancers from the classic ballet to the public, the general public, who had never seen ballet dancers before.
By the way, you do remember that we do have one sequence from Invitation to the Dance, and that's Entertainment Part 2. The Sinbad piece, you know, with the cartoon.
That's right. And of course, when people talk about Gene Kelly films, immediately you think of Singin' in the Rain and An American in Paris, and I'm curious whether they're your favorites as well as being the public's favorites.
Well, they're very popular, comparatively speaking, but I still have a very soft spot in my heart for a picture called On the Town, which I think is perhaps a bit dated now. You know,
it's not.
The techniques have been used, and the idea has been used, and certainly the idea of three sailors on leave was done long before we did it, but. Coincidentally, I happened to work with Saul Chaplin on the music of that film, along with Leonard Bernstein.
What a combination.
And,
I have to interrupt you just for one moment.
All right.
The only reason I wound up at MGM, I had done both Jolson pictures. I was at Columbia for years.
Right.
And I'd finished the second Jolson picture, and Gene Kelly was doing On the Town, and it was he and a man named Roger Edens who arranged for me to work on the Town, which was my first picture at MGM.
Best move we ever made.
I think so.
You know, when one looks at Gene Kelly, of course, you've danced with some of the most beautiful women ever to hit the screen, and I'm just curious about if we can reminisce a little bit about some of those sequences with a Leslie Caron, a Judy Garland, a Sid Charisse. Boy, I envy you, Gene.
You do?
Yeah. I can't move the way you do, though.
Listen, don't cry. Just send money.
But An American in Paris, it flashes in front of me every time I think of you and great musicals. That film always flashes in front of me, and that sequence you did with Leslie Caron.
Well, thank you.
No, that was it really was a departure, because it was the first American film that ever had a 17-minute ballet in it. You know, the end of it.
That's right, 17 minutes.
That's right. I don't think, well, it hasn't been repeated since, to my knowledge.
Mm-hmm. You taught Frank Sinatra how to dance. That must have been tedious.
He claims he taught me.
Oh, gosh. You know, Gene, I want to ask you about something that's current, 1976, because as I go back to your background, in 1938, you began on Broadway, I understand, in a show called Leave It to Me. Is that
right?
Yeah.
That's right.
And Mary Martin was out front singing, and you were dancing, and this was a new thing professionally for you, and I'm wondering whether that experience came home to roost when you watched the brand new musical that's here in Los Angeles called Chorus Line. Is that an accurate portrayal of what a Broadway dancer has to go through?
No, that's not the way chorus people audition. They're not asked to their psychiatric backgrounds or whether they love their mother. I think the thing that makes Chorus Line such a hit was the fact of the completely new approach and the fact that it was so completely original. It's a very intriguing show.
Mm-hmm.
But frankly, no. When a chorus dancer goes into audition, he's given steps to do, just like a musician would go into audition. They don't say, "Do you love your mother?" They say, "Play 32 bars of Dynamite."
That's right.
Absolutely,
That's
sure.
absolutely right.
But that takes nothing away from Chorus Line.
Well, now, Chorus Line basically is depicting the dance. Are we going to find young Gene Kellys around anywhere? Where are the young dancers?
There are young dancers around. The business has changed. The television has been the main thrust of it, and the accent is on singing. Of course, the singer has always been the hero in America, not the dancer. But the record business, kids all buy records.
They sure do.
Also, kids all have little transistor radios. They get a lot of entertainment out of it, which is good. But it certainly has changed the face of the American musical, and it's very hard for young people coming up today to go into, after having trained to sing and dance and act. Then, if they do get a job, to be accepted by the public besides.
That's the biggest problem of all. What do you think's going to happen? What's going to be needed to bring the musicals back, to bring new musicals back?
I have no idea. I think it's a question of time. I think everything takes time, and if you look at all the arts, motion pictures is the newest art form, and it's such a young art form. It's so young, and but historically, if you look at the other arts, they've all gone through the same changes and the same phases, the same fads, and I believe that eventually the musical as a major motion picture art form will be stronger, and I predict. Sounds like Criswell talking.
That's what I thought it was.
that it will emerge in foreign countries. They've never been able to do musicals foreign countries, but I think that it'll be worldwide.
No, but isn't it? Well, it is true that if America has contributed anything to show business that's totally original, it's the American musical. I remember Noel Coward once saying to me that, we can't do your kind of musicals. You all have so much energy.
Yeah.
But that's true.
Gene, what about, when dancing to me, at one time it seemed that if you were a dancer, you were effeminate, and yet to me dancing is quite athletic.
Well, the way Gene does it is.
It depends on the style of dancing. I think that all the young dancers now have accepted that supposition, and there's a great deal of athleticism in the dance, where the not having a long and deep-rooted tradition of dance in America. We had no ballet companies till the late 30s in America, and we tended to treat the pure dance, the classic dance, lean back on the classics, and it did have that kind of stain on it, and I think that's passing. And as a matter of fact, most of the ballet dancers nowadays are citizens who pay income taxes and raise children and families.
Gene, can we hold you on the line for 1 minute and come right back to you?
Why not?
Okay, we're going to be right back with Gene Kelly. I'm singing in the rain. La-da. What do you think, Gene? Hello?
Gene?
Yes.
You didn't hear my singing.
I heard it. I said that's pretty good.
Oh, good. Well,
I guess I wasn't turned on.
Listen, during the commercials, I suddenly thought of something in regards to dancers being effeminate. Gene, how many years ago did you do, the omnibus program, Dancing a Man's Game, in which we had Johnny Unitas and Tom Pettit and Mickey Mantle,
Fixations, Sugar Ray Robinson,
showing the relationship between
Bob Cousy, yeah.
That's right. Bob, it was a terrific show.
Well, that was in 59 or 60, because I remember both of us were in New York.
Yeah,
that's right.
And you and Erwin Kostal took care of the music,
That's right.
and which you've done in most of the stuff that I've done well, and it was a very successful program.
No,
and,
but also
the athletes loved it. It's what tickled me.
that's right. And you can't. We had no athletes, by the way, who were effeminate.
No, no. Now they say there are some, but
No.
you know, Gene, there's another side to Gene Kelly. We know what you can do on the screen, but we also know what you can do directing people. And, of course, you directed Hello, Dolly with Barbra Streisand. It must be interesting working with a talent like Barbra.
Yes, it is, and it was. And I must say on the air that she was very nice to work with, and I enjoyed it very much.
Now you're going to be directing again. I understand there's a new film in the works called How Santa Claus Got His Name.
Yes, that title is Kris Kringle. That won't be until next year. Right now I'm doing a picture with Evel Knievel, and I'm playing a character role of a grease monkey who's Evel's pal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of fun for me, and a lot of fun for the kids who, Evel to them is a kind of a folk hero, the kind we had when I was a kid, like Babe Ruth. Now they have Evel Knievel.
He's like that. Well, he's a Superman, isn't he?
Yeah, and so they love the idea. So the whole thing's a lark, but. It's fun for me to play this kind of a character because, frankly, I never did it before.
Yeah, that's it's a departure for you. What about any new musicals in the works where you're going to be doing some singing and dancing?
Well, they've asked me if I'd also play a part in this Kris Kringle, but I have to think about that, whether I'd take on that much work.
I tell you what's amazing, Bill. In entertainment too, there were Fred and Gene.
Right.
And
first time they worked together since 1946.
That's right.
Right.
Now they came to my office when I first did the new lyrics for them.
Right.
And Gene said to Fred. No, Fred said first, "Look, no dancing. Dancing is out." Now I did the lyrics, and Gene said, "Listen, I think over here we should have a little dancing," and he did, kind of marked a few steps. I can only tell you, 20 minutes later, they're both wailing away in my office dancing.
Oh, boy.
It's like, ringing a bell for a fire horse or something.
How do you direct a Fred Astaire?
Well, I tell you,
it was wild.
It's very easy to direct good people, and people who I've often heard outsiders say, I use the term not in a derogatory way, but people who are not in the business say, how would you direct a fellow like Orson Welles or Laurence Olivier, because they're both directors themselves, besides being great stars with great longevity. The thing is, they're easier to direct than a young kid of 18 or 19 because they know the problem. And when I say the problem, I mean the all-surrounding thing that goes not just with his own part, but the parts that belong to the other people.
Mm-hmm.
So I add this: to direct Fred Astaire is no chore.
What about when you worked with people like, let's say, like Judy Garland and Leslie Caron? I know you discovered Leslie. Was it difficult initially working with these people, and were their styles of dancing different?
No, because they're so professional, and also the dancers are the easiest people to work with because they're athletes, even the women. You have to train every day, and you can't slip or slide. You have to cover a certain amount of terrain and a certain number of beats, and there's no margin of error. Now, singing and popular singing, there can be a slight margin for error.
You sure can.
And there often is.
When you say working with those girls, now Judy Garland wasn't really a dancer, but she was so bright and so quick that it was, and she had great humor about her until she began to have her personal problems. She was just delightful to work with.
Was Sid Charisse the only girl that you and Fred both danced with?
Oh no!
No, Leslie
there were others?
Oh no!
Leslie, for one.
You just mentioned three, and I'll mention a fourth.
Okay.
Vera Ellen.
Vera Ellen,
Vera
of course.
Ellen was a marvelous dancer, and
You guys had the monopoly.
we would be delighted to work with any of those girls. Vera, Sid, or
Gene, you also both danced with Rita Hayworth.
Rita Hayworth is another one. No, there's not that many all-around talents in the musical field.
Mhm.
So, no, we were delighted to, and I'm sure Fred would say the same thing. As a matter of fact, he said it to me privately.
That's interesting. Where do you see the, you know, the star system that once was so prevalent in Hollywood? Do you see that returning?
It'll always be with us. It's not with us as much now because we don't make as many films. But if you look at television, which is now of all the media is the greatest, it's gradually killed off most of motion picture production. It's killed off most of the newspapers and killed off the great magazines like Life and Look.
Sure has.
And if you look at television, you see the star system completely prevalent. So much so that that the kids who see most of the majority of it, I suspect, they don't even call the people by their names. They say, "Well, there's Starsky and Hutch and there's Archie Bunker."
That's right.
You know.
That's true.
And the star system is always with us.